Well, hello, St. Paul's. It's Charlie. I am here with you for another Rector's blog or vlog. And today I'm really happy to have some folks joining me, Chris Graham, Barbara Holly, and Lynn Williams. Each of these folks are members of the History and Reconciliation Initiative at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. So let's begin. Can you each just introduce yourself and tell me kind of your role in the History and Reconciliation Initiative? Lynn, why don't we start with you?
Hi, I'm Lynn Williams, and I am the Director of Outreach and Community Engagement at St. Paul's, and I am the staff liaison for the HRI group.
Awesome. Chris, how about you?
Well, hi. I'm the chair of the research group subcommittee that includes other members, particularly Beth O'Leary and Nan Hayes, and am the lead author of the report.
Very good. Barbara.
I'm Barbara Holly, and I am a member of the HRI, or History Reconciliation Initiative Committee, Steering Committee, and also we have a Memorials Committee, which I am a member of, and have been so since the beginning in 2016.
Great. And you're also the vestry liaison for the HRI group as well.
Correct.
Right? Good.
Beginning this year.
So Barbara, maybe you can lead off with us. When I was interviewing here at St. Paul's, everybody was excited about the History and Reconciliation Initiative, which we'll now call HRI, just to save syllables. Can you tell us a little bit about HRI and why it got started and why it exists?
HRI was started in 2016. We had a 4-year timeline to go through 2020, different steps, goals that we plan to achieve along the way. And it began after the 2015 shooting in the church in South Carolina. Wallace Adams Riley was the rector at the time and felt that we should look at St. Paul's, which had been known as the Church of the Confederacy, to change that image, to look at our icons, what the history of the church was all about, and why we needed to make a change and a different image. And that's how the committee began.
Great. So you really wanted to look honestly at St. Paul's relationship to race and its history in the hope of ultimately, I think, being a more inclusive and welcoming community. Is that kind of a part of what HRI is about?
That's correct, right. But really learning what that history was about. I have been there since 2003, and a lot of this was not familiar to me.
Yeah.
So it's been a learning experience.
Cool. That's such a brave thing, especially, I mean, there's so many churches in the Episcopal Church wrestling with this issue today. And that's one of the things that attracted me to St. Paul's was HRI and this particular mission. So Chris, you have been a part of this for the last 4 years. You're the author of this new book called Blind Spots, which is the report, kind of phase 1. Can you talk a little bit about phase 1 and kind of its goals, and then talk about the book Blind Spots and why is it called that?
Sure. As Barbara alluded to, there's multiple subcommittees that have been making different plans and creating different programs to talk about the issues that HRI raises over the years. But in the meantime, the research group has been working on this report, and we set out to answer the question, how did the people of St. Paul's understand from a theological perspective what race relations was, and how did they act on that understanding in both their church lives and in their public lives in the city of Richmond? Okay. And it turned into, there's so much rich material, it turned into I don't know how many pages it is, about 200 page narrative that has revealed so much more of St. Paul's history than is usually commonly recalled in this church, and more importantly in the public. And there are a number of lessons, consistent lessons across the generations that we studied that I think are very relevant to us today in terms of thinking about how we position ourselves in our community now.
Yeah, that's great. And the idea of a book that's called Blind Spots is about being honest about who we are, because we all have blind spots in our own lives individually. Churches have blind spots as well. So I liked what you said earlier when we were talking, that this isn't a book that's about the past necessarily, but it's about the future and who we hope to be as the people of God in this community, and how we want to be reflective of an all-embracing position. Anything else you want to say about the title?
Well, the title comes from a quote from a former St. Paul's rector, Walter Russell Bowie, who had been the rector in the 1910s, 1920s, left for New York City, came back in the late 1950s, and saw that St. Paul's was experiencing a period of racial conservatism and some complacency about social activism. And he wrote a letter, or he wrote in his memoirs, that he was sorry to see the church had blind spots, where it wasn't acting when it should have been acting. So it was drawn from that, but that's a theme that came out in every generation that we studied. These people acted in what they thought was the best intentions, and even out of a sense of love in their day. But in their actions, they had blind spots. They didn't see the damage they were doing. And I think that we have come a long way since then. We are not, the generation from the 1950s that Russell Bowie condemned, but it's still worth asking, critique ourselves. What are our blind spots now?
Sure. And that's always a brave endeavor, I think, whenever we look honestly at who we are. But it can only serve to heal, and it can only serve to move us along as people of the kingdom of God. And I feel like that's also at the heart of what HRI is about. Lynn, all right, so the thing that we've got to get the book. If we're going to read it, we've got to get it. And these are some wild times right now. Lynn, can you talk about what you and Linda Armstrong have kind of cooked up in terms of getting the book to us? Linda Armstrong is our fearless leader of HRI and has been for several years. And she is unwell today, so she couldn't be with us. So Lynn, can you tell us how we actually get the book and what the plans are moving ahead?
Sure. So we've come up with a few ways to get the book to you, contactless, so nobody has to worry. The first way that we can do that, if you would like it to be delivered to your home, we can do that. You can send an email to Linda or myself, and give us your address, and we will have somebody deliver it, and we'll put it on your porch. The books are going to be packaged inside a Ziploc bag. We will do all of that with gloves, so you don't have to worry about it. The second way you can get the book is we're going to have times that we're going to be standing right outside of St. Paul's on Grace Street, and you can drive up and we will hand the book over through your window. And if you don't want to touch that, we'll throw it through the window. However you want us to get it to you, we'll get it. That is going to be on Tuesday and Thursday. So tomorrow and Thursday from 1 to 3, both days. And if not enough people have got that, we'll do it next week too. So that's super exciting. And then moving forward, after you have the book and you've read it for a few weeks, then we're going to move into a period of some, well, depending on what we can do, either online or in-person discussions about the book. And how does it make you feel? And how can we move forward in our community together? What are those things that we want to be doing? And how do we want to engage our community better, keeping all of our history and everything in mind? So that's also something to really look forward to, because I think that is going to be the thing that really brings us all together.
Yeah. So this is the beginning of a continued journey for all of us at St. Paul's, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. This represents so much work by so many people. I can't even wrap my head around how many people this has touched over the last 4 years, and much earlier into the future, into the past of St. Paul's. So thanks to you all for all that you're doing around this. You don't have to remember anything that we've said. There is material on the website and in the Rector's vlog about HRI, about the book, about the process, and the ways to get it. So thank you all for listening to us. We've been glad to be a part of this process with you. And thank you for reading the book. It'll be an important part of this journey. And if you have any questions, you can go to stpaulsrva.org and find out information about blind spots, the process, our future. And also, you can go to stpaulsrva.org to find out the most up-to-date information about our worship experiences that will be taking place on Sunday at 10 a.m. So God bless you all. May you be blessed. May you be a blessing. Take care.